Hello and welcome to episode number 84 of the Nintendo Jump Podcast. We're a weekly discussion podcast created for Nintendo gamers by Nintendo gamers. It's February 6th. My name is Daryl, and today I'm once again joined by Sergio. How are you, man?
Hey man, I'm doing okay now. It's been a roller coaster of a week of emotions and rage and more rage and a little bit less rage, but I'm good now.
And with all things always centered around one particular game franchise. It's beautiful. It's fun to watch, I gotta say. But we'll get to that. First, Kevin, how are you, man?
Man, I'm doing pretty decent. It's been a long week, but I got some things to say, which I'll say later. I got some water. I'm just ready to go. How about you, Joe? How are you doing?
I am also ready to go.
Okay.
I'm doing okay. I'm feeling good. So I do have a bit of an announcement for our podcast listeners who may not be in our Discord. By the way, you should join our Discord. Now we are also joined by TJ, aka Shy Guy, aka Shy, aka whatever you want to call him. TJ, how are you, man?
Hey, I'm doing all right. I'm excited to be back for another week and just discuss some games with everybody. We've had a week, a lot of ups and downs here at our house, so I don't know. I'm good to go, though. I'm excited to get into our topics.
Well, there's only ups on the podcast side, so hopefully. TJ is going to join us for a lot more episodes, actually. So we've kind of made the decision to, grow a little bit in what we're doing here as we prepare for the inevitable loss of Sergio to Animal Crossing and Kevin to PlayStation 5. We have to make some allowances for that kind of thing. And, TJ, I'm super happy you're here. This is actually a lot of fun. We've had a lot of fun a couple times now, and hopefully it just continues. But with all that said, I think we should just jump into it. Kevin, what are we talking about this week?
Well, we're going to talk about reviews and updates. That's what we're doing. And I did not know how I had that way of saying it. But yeah, reviews and updates. We're going to be talking about some games and then some updates about things around the games, the gaming world. So that's it. Simple as that. And we have a bunch of games to talk about. I'm really excited about this because it's been a while. It's been a hot minute since we've done this, and been busy in the laboratory. Playing some games. Doing it, and yeah. Now, Daryl, what is one game that you and I have both played that you want to share?
So I'm gonna go with Mario Kart. No, I'm just kidding. By the way, great game. So we actually we got the opportunity. Friend of the show, Darkus, actually provided us some codes to play Doom and Destiny, which we had kind of hinted at and then decided to delay a little bit. And now we're actually talking about it. So Doom and Destiny is a role-playing game developed by Heartbit Interactive.
Yes.
And so, just to jump in, this is it's an RPG that kind of very much feels like an RPG Maker type game. So you can kind of feel the trappings all around it, but it does things a little bit differently by introducing a lot of what is affectionately referred to as nerd humor into it. No, so Kevin, tell us a little bit about your impressions of the game.
Well, Daryl, I have quite a lot about this, but I will try to condense it in a very digestible format. So, it's a game that has a bunch of references from so many things like Welcome to Die from the X-Men arcade game. When Magneto says, X-Men, welcome to die. One of those moments. And then there's just a lot of other references like 4 of the Incredible Ninja Mutants. As part of where you're 4 characters, there's Mike, Francis, Nigel, and Johnny. They're all different personalities. For some reason, they like to make fun of one in particular. I believe it's Mike, and
yeah.
I don't know why. He seems like a pretty awesome kind of guy. And there's this point in the game where you get to choose who is the captain. Who gets to lead the charge of the team. For me, I gotta choose the underdog. Mike's my guy. And it's interesting because the other three guys wanted him to be a cleric, because in every adventure you gotta have a cleric, you gotta have a support person, and they thought Mike should be it, but no, I want to be a pirate. and and just there are some elements that I really did enjoy, like the fact that when you're about to engage in battle. By the way, this is a role playing game, so like kind of like Final Fantasy and Kuni, but not really. And when you engage in battle, it's like boom, you're in battle. Like you're going around the world map, or where you're exploring in whichever like a building or what have you. And if you're gonna engage in a battle with like monsters and all that, it's like a snap, like split second, you're in. Whereas for like Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest, you have kind of like that loading, like okay, you're gonna get into battle, get ready, you're gonna duke it out. But yeah, a lot of it is based on the references. The graphics are very. This is the one thing that has prevented me from finishing it. It's the fact that it's not polished enough for me to be enticed to keep going. And I know that it's from RPG Maker. They made it, and they did put a lot of work into it. And even with even some of the music too. Like so one of my favorite pieces of music of all time is a tune that is royalty free. It's called "Off to Osaka" by Kevin MacLeod, and it plays in almost every single bar you go to. It's like ba-da, 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 da-da, ba, 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 ba. It's a really bad rendition, and it plays that, and I'm like, wow, why? Like I like the fact that they included that
because it was free.
Well, I know that. I know, but then it's like, when I think of an RPG, I want to think of original music, you know what I'm saying? Like, just even it could be like a simple like Breath of the Wild simplistic melody. Like you create some sort of originality, but for most bars it has that music. And I'm like, yeah, I guess it works out.
Yeah, I mean, so for an RPG, I would say presentation really wasn't the strong suit here.
No, it was not at all.
Like it actually it was when you started out and they start making kind of corny humor, like four nerdy guys playing Dungeons and Dragons. No offense to anyone who is a nerdy guy who plays Dungeons and Dragons. It was a bit of an eye roll, actually. Like it was just kind of like, oh, okay, this is where it's going. However, I actually kind of grew to like what they had done with it in terms of an RPG, especially the farther I got in the game. It's actually fairly deep mechanically. The battles are actually pretty nice and well thought out. And then there's things like an NPC in every town that tells you to go tell your friends about Doom and Destiny. I'm just like, wait, what?
Oh my god, that happened so many
like,
times, and I was getting annoyed after the second one. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, like it was just this game was a series of ups and downs for me. I'll say I enjoyed my time with it, but it's also one of those games that I enjoyed my time with it, and when I was done with it, I was done with it.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. I will say, so the main game is in the realm of 15 hours or so of gameplay to get just through the story to the boss. At that point, it really, really opens up a lot of other stuff. There's so much post-game stuff in here. There's probably an additional like 50 hours.
Oh boy.
Of just so as you play the game, like you're walking through and you're getting it's one of those RPGs you kind of get warped into certain areas and such, and all of a sudden, oh, now wait, I'm here now, and what do I do, and things like that. Not dissimilar to how Earthbound does it from time to time. You're just in this area that it's not like a Final Fantasy where there's an airship or a boat or anything. Until the post game where there's an airship and a boat and stuff, and it's like what? Like all of this stuff is hidden behind all of it, and like it was a real head scratcher for me because like I had a lot of ups and downs with it. Like you were mentioning, there's a lot of eye rolls. There's a lot of really questionable decisions, and then there's also a lot of like genuinely funny bits and good battles and interesting bosses and stuff. It's just like I ended up on mostly positive on it. I finished the game, the main story. I did a little bit of the post game stuff. I got the boat and I was sailing around and doing a little bit of it. And I was like, okay, I'm good. I'm done. I'm gonna leave it on a fairly high note. So I did. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm not sure I would 100% recommend it to everybody. But if you do want a game that's an RPG, a little bit more lighthearted, a little more, wink, wink, tongue in cheek, with at least one Link, excuse me, princess reference, this is the game for you, man. This is it.
Yeah, I mean, now be warned, the game does use a bit of provocative, aka improper language that normally wouldn't find amusing as much as I did before in my youth, but just that's a caveat. And
yeah, I think it is. It's M rated, isn't it?
Well, there you go. And
I think it is,
yeah.
that is literally just language. Like it's not.
Oh.
It doesn't. As far as I could tell, it doesn't really go too many places elsewhere. But there's some questionable stuff there.
There is.
There's also some questionable stuff in the way the game actually runs. So I did have several instances where a music track that was supposed to turn off while another music track played did not. So you have two music tracks playing, which literally just drives me nuts. I had one crash on the game.
Oh, you
but,
did? Oh, wow.
Yeah, but that was it.
So is it a game you would say that's good overall, but given how many games are on the Switch, it's hard to recommend it over the plethora of other choices?
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a game that I would say is not so good naturally, but then has some very strong moments that brings it up. So it's like there are some real chuggy points in the game, like you're just like, oh, what am I doing? And then there's some really funny stuff. So it's just like it's interesting. It's a nice side diversion if you're just kind of interested in a quirky, funny RPG that doesn't take itself too seriously, but is still actually kind of really nice to play at times. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and I mean they do a really good job with the references. Like I did enjoy.
There's a ton of them.
There's a ton, like, earlier I said 4 of the Incredible Ninja Mutants, which references to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There was something about the Power Rangers, aka in the game they call it the Legendary 5 Rangers of Power. And things
at one point you can meet the entire cast of Final Fantasy VII.
That's right.
What?
You can. And
they're not called that, but yes, it's that. Yes.
they are the Hey Team. It's so weird. Like you see them in the room, and then like you see the characters, and then Barrett's like, "I paid the food," and I'm like, "Whoa, I think that's Mr. T." That's a little bit of spoiler. Sorry about that, but
it's
now,
hard to spoil this game.
I know, but one
it's
thing
such a fever dream of a game. It's just like what.
There is one thing that I did like about the battle system was that on the top of the screen you get to see who gets to act first in line. Like whether it's Nigel going, then like an enemy, then Mike. It resembles the way the Legend of Heroes: Trails in the Sky does it, where you have like an indication of who gets to attack and move first, or in the queue. So that's nice. I really like that. But that's it. And they do have like really interesting attacks. Not just like your fire, thunder, or blizzard like in Final Fantasy.
Yeah, they typically have like secondary effects.
Yeah.
So I was particularly enjoying the attacks that would like slow the opponents, and you could actually see them move down the bar when you did that kind of thing. So like I said, I think Darkus called it surprisingly competent. Yeah, that's flat out. I mean, that's spot on. There you go.
Yeah, no,
it actually plays pretty well, and it is funny at times. Like I said, overall, this is probably like a 7 out of 10 for me, somewhere in there. I enjoyed my time with it. It is not a game that I'm going to go running out and scream to the world that they should play this game. But if it sounds quirky and funny, yeah, it is. Yeah.
You know what? Honestly, and that's a very respectable score for me. I think it's a 6 out of 10. It's just not for me. I I mm, I think for these kind of games, I do wish there was a bit more polish in the graphics, but it's all good. Like I definitely appreciate what they were trying to get at. And yeah, it is very unique for sure. Like I've never seen these like so many references of like things in a game ever. Like it's just like
No, it's actually kind of impressive.
they had a list and just like went through and then tried to plug and play. I'm like, okay, I respect that. So
And some of them are legitimately good, but I think
they are.
I think that's probably it.
Yep.
Yeah, Doom and Destiny. If that sounds like a fun time, try it out.
Yeah.
Let's move on to who else has an RPG Maker game?
Well, I was told historically mine was originally made in RPG Maker.
Ah.
There you go.
Going by to Cube, shout out to Cube, who is a wealth of knowledge on any game you're interested in. I recently played To the Moon, which is an older game. It was on Steam, I think, in 2011, but it just came to Switch. And it's an interactive story more so than a game. You do very little gaming elements. There's not a whole lot of action. It's more about interacting with the characters and settings to unravel a story. And I compare it to Grease in terms of its impact, but Grease is way more of an actual game with more platforming and action and things for you to do. This is a very relaxed setting. You can't die. There's not really bad guys, anything like that. And what you do is you're these two doctors that go inside of a dying man's head, and you go through his memories in reverse. Your goal is to reshape his memory to meet his wish. So you learn his story backwards, and the way it's told is incredibly impactful. Since they do play things in reverse, it's easy to have these cliffhangers or just kind of little bits that don't make sense until you get to the scene that came before it.
Right.
And the way it pieces together, it hits you hard emotionally. There are some medical backstories that have impacted immediate family members of mine, so I felt a little more attached maybe than some would to this game. I could see your mileage varying. Most of the reviews I've read were positive. One person gave it a real low score because of the lack of action, but that's not the point of the game.
Right.
Right.
So I thought it was fantastic, but it's a game that's really hard to get into without spoiling. It's $12. It takes maybe 4 hours to get through. It is completely worth it, in my opinion, if that's the type of experience you're looking for. There was a problem with the game crashing as the credits rolled, and I missed an end scene. And when you boot into the game, there's no save file. It goes right to where you were. So I'd boot the game, go to credits, it would crash. That has since been patched, so that does work now, which is nice. It doesn't have a lot of variation in the music, but the music's emotional and impactful, and the way everything ties together. There were two scenes where my jaw just dropped, and then I'm an emotional guy. I'm a big emotional baby. Like one of the scene that made everything connect. Like tears were just started to roll.
Oh wow!
I just absolutely loved this game and would recommend it to anybody looking for an impactful, interactive story. My one biggest complaint, where it was originally made in RPG Maker and they didn't really polish it ever since, you can only move in the 4 cardinal directions.
Yeah.
And other than talking, moving is your main action. So
Right.
it gets very frustrating sometimes to navigate through these places. You want to move diagonally and you can't, and it doesn't take away from the experience. But I just think for a game that old, you're going to bring it to a new system. You could have added at least that little bit of polish there. But overall, for the price, the time it takes, and the impact, I recommend it.
I mean, yeah, that's awesome. This is not the first time I've heard about this game in kind of that capacity too. What I've always like is this game kind of an interactive like visual novel style, or is it?
I've never played a visual novel, so
Well, you are missing out, sir.
yes.
No.
I mean, I guess in the sense you talk to people. Sometimes as you talk to people, dialogue unravels clues. Other times it's just cutscenes where you're a passive observer. But I guess where things are told in reverse, that's a little bit of a spin on it.
So I think what I'm trying to get at is, do you? So the act of it being in a game does make a story more impactful for me, even if you're just like doing not much. But what I'm trying to get at is, like, are you as the character like influencing the story in any way, or are you just kind of watching it play out?
You mostly watch it play out because you're these two doctors in this guy's head and his memories. You're not one of the main characters that was in his life.
Oh, that makes sense.
Okay, so you're more like an observer, basically.
Yeah, because there are moments where the doctors phase themselves out where nobody in the memory can see them, and then there's a time or two where they need to make themselves visible, and there's reasons. But a lot of it is passive observing. You're supposed to find little items each time to connect memories to keep jumping back, but there's almost no challenge in that. That's about as gamey as it gets. It's more passive, but it's well worth your time.
And speaking of worth, like, I've heard that the music is well worth listening to. Like, how is the music in this game?
I think that I would agree with that. The music chimes in, and it really adds to that emotional impact. And there are times where it just goes silent, and that also adds to it. But the music is, I mean, it's high caliber video game music. I mean, it may not make the top 10 soundtracks of all time, but it's worth checking out, I think. I've tried to find it on iTunes. I couldn't, but I'm trying to add it to my music collection. I do find it worth listening to.
Oh, nice.
Awesome.
That's cool. Yeah. So it sounds like, from what you're saying, it kind of sounds like you would just recommend this as like a work of art, kind of.
Yeah, that's well said. I know mileage can vary based on experience and everything. I'm going to write a review that might have some spoilers that'll get more into why this game impacted me so much, and then hopefully it'll make it on the blog, which you guys should check out at NintendoJump.blogspot.com. But
God, he's so good at this already.
But there's just so much I want to say right now, but can't. So overall, work of art, highly recommend.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think a lot of what you said just goes with the genre. Those kind of games, definitely not for everyone, definitely slower paced. But for those of us, I do consider myself a fan of that visual novel or story-heavy, story-driven games. It kind of makes them more special in a way. And like you said, you have to be in the mood for that. You have to know what you're getting into, but they're definitely worth it.
Oh, I agree. And they even tell you when the game starts up, it says best experienced with headphones. So like they're looking to get you immersed right away into it.
And you may have touched on this. I'm sorry if you did. How long is the game?
I didn't really time it because it sucks you in, but I think about 4 hours.
Okay, so it's just a nice story that you do in like a couple sessions, or 3 or 4.
Yeah, I got it done in 2 days, maybe 3. I remember I was going to go to bed, and then I got toward the end, and then next thing I knew, it was 1:30 in the morning. And
oh no!
I didn't even care though; it was so good. I was tired the next day, and I didn't care because I just kept thinking about all the connections in that story. It just stays with you when the game's off, even.
Well, nice. That actually that sounds like something I'll definitely keep an eye on. Cool. Well, in that case, so Sergio, you don't really have a game to review, but you do have a couple pieces of news. You want to go over something?
Yes, and we can say
the following segment of the Nintendo Jump Podcast is rated M for mature.
The following statements are Sergio's own and not backed by Nintendo Jump in any capacity.
I need an adult.
Ooh, after dark.
The rage has calmed down, but okay, let's go back a little bit. Basically, earlier in the week, there was a rumor from a translation of the back of the box of Animal Crossing New Horizons, the Japanese version, and basically it said that the game is not going to support either cloud saves or transferring your data from one Switch to another, which is pretty bad. We already knew that the game wouldn't support cloud saves, which is an issue already, but we've known for so long that we kind of gotten used to it already. But not being able to transfer your save data from one Switch to another was pretty bad. Basically, it meant whatever system you start Animal Crossing New Horizons in, you're locked in for that. If you want to get a Switch Pro later in the year when it comes out, you're not going to be able to. So that was pretty bad, and I was included with the pitchforks. A lot of us were clamoring, "Hey, what's going on? We need answers here." Luckily, Nintendo is implementing something. You're gonna need to be a member of Nintendo Switch Online, which makes sense, honestly. But basically, this game is gonna have its own software-based cloud save system. It's not gonna be like the typical cloud save that you can do with other Nintendo Switch games. You're still not gonna be able to transfer your save data between Switches, but at least there's gonna be a way for you to back up your data. And honestly, it's very important for Animal Crossing because people spend hundreds, if not thousands, of hours into this game. And imagine losing all of that progress because something happens to your Switch or it get lost or stolen. Yeah, that wasn't a good thing. I'm honestly surprised that Nintendo addressed it so quickly and with a pretty proper answer. They didn't say when this is going to be available. It doesn't sound like it's going to be ready at launch, but at least it's a solution, and they actually talked about it. I'm surprised. I'm glad.
I mean, that's cool, and I'm glad that they addressed it right away. I mean, because this would have been a huge disappointment if they didn't, try to rectify the situation in some sort of way. So, I mean, because yeah, like, no, you gotta have some sort of backup, and I just wish that Nintendo was more forward thinking about the cloud save stuff. I mean, this is 2020. Like I know that they are focused on making games and other stuff, but I think the online infrastructure, the way you save, you have those cloud saves, like that should be a top priority. I don't know that to me, it's unacceptable. But at least they have something in order for that.
So realistically, I can't figure out how Nintendo chooses which games support cloud saves and not.
Yeah.
Like, I'm looking through the list that don't support cloud saves, and it's just random. Like, Pokemon Let's Go is on it. Like, why? Like, you're not gonna be cheating in that game. And like Animal Crossing, we're not worried about the competitive viability of this game. So I don't know. It's kind of a weird one.
Yeah.
It might be that something in the cloud save system kind of broke the game, possibly, but I don't have a good answer for it. I really don't.
I mean, even to that end, I echo what Naprat said in our Discord, that figure it out. It's 2020. You're one of the biggest tech companies in the world. Every other game on every other system finds a way with these cloud saves.
Exactly.
It's inexcusable. And even the system transfer, I mean, who's going to cheat in Animal Crossing? And even if they want to, the whole point of the game is to play it how you want to play it.
There's a gigantic black market going in Animal Crossing right now, so don't go down that alleyway. No, I don't know. I don't have, I try to play like devil's advocate. I don't really have a positive on this. I am glad that they've done something for the game. I'm just a little confused, honestly.
Yeah, it's confusing. Shai, you made a really good point that I cannot think of any other game that has the ability to do cloud saves that doesn't do it on purpose. And I think it's just Nintendo. I don't know. I don't want to say it's like an agenda, but I mean for sure the developer team of Animal Crossing and Splatoon 2, they both don't support cloud saves, and I think. Like you said, I think it's their way of preventing cheating by affecting everyone involved instead of just the cheaters, and addressing the issue where it's starting and not hurting everyone involved in the process in a way by taking the easy way out.
I'm also just curious, like, do cloud saves help you cheat in any way? Like, it's literally just transferring your save to a different console, right? So it's like, we kind of got that explanation, but even with Splatoon, I never really understood, like,
no,
suddenly if I can play on two consoles, am I getting better? And I'm like, not really. I'm just playing my save, right?
Yeah, for Splatoon 2, I definitely don't get it. For something like Pokemon or maybe Animal Crossing, maybe you could figure out a way to clone either shiny Pokemon or very rare items in Animal Crossing. I honestly don't know how easy that is, but even then, so you're cloning an item.
Right.
Exactly. You play the game play the game the way you want. That's exactly it. That especially for Animal Crossing.
The only time that anything like this ever actually made me mad was with a 3DS game, Kid Icarus Uprising, where you could trade weapons back and forth with people, particularly over Street Pass. And all the weapons had different stats, so you could trade them back and forth and like farm them together to get better stats and skills and such. So people with multiple 3DSs literally had a pay-to-win type advantage. So
Whoa.
that was a problem. But again, I don't see a correlation between cloud saves and cheating. Really, I don't see how that opens the door for anything. So the only thing I come up with is maybe they honestly just couldn't figure it out.
That's hard to believe, though. I mean,
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know. I'm just too miffed, I guess, to offer a reason why they've chosen this route. Who's gonna cheat in Animal Crossing? And even
Nobody.
so, I mean, it's got to be such a small population, like Serge said. Why are you gonna punish the 99.5% that play the game the way it was
Right.
intended over a few? It doesn't make sense. It's not consumer friendly as a company. And this is one of your biggest franchises. This game is going to print money for months, and they're not doing their customers any favors with this. I don't like it. I at least give a solid, believable reason, but they don't, and it's frustrating.
Yeah,
Right.
if it were actually like a Nintendo agenda thing, I think that they would be more pushing, oh yeah, transfer your save data to this brand new Switch. Here you go. Look
Exactly.
at this.
Exactly.
It runs Animal Crossing. Now you can run 2 islands on the same Switch. There you go. That's what you've been asking for. Like, I don't know, if it were actually an agenda thing, I would think it would be something that would actually, I don't know, benefit them.
Yeah.
This doesn't, it's just one of those weird news pieces that you read it and you go, really?
Yeah. And
okay.
now they're struggling in a way because it's not gonna be ready for launch, but they're kind of struggling to figure out a solution, a sideways way to back up cloud saves or your island in the game, because basically for an issue that they created themselves. If we could just have one island per account, this wouldn't be an issue. But
I'm guessing that's it. Honestly,
yeah,
I'm guessing
somebody
that they
doesn't want that.
they really locked down into this one island per Switch across all accounts thing, and then that broke with the idea of cloud saves being linked to the accounts.
Right.
Honestly, I bet that's it. I bet that they just went, well, we really don't want to hedge on this this one island per Switch thing. That's going to be special, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going down the rabbit hole again, though. But that's a whole nother why. Why can't different accounts
Exactly.
have different islands, especially for Animal Crossing? I don't get it. That's like saying if I had SimCity on my computer, I can only have one city no matter what. It's asinine. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it just limits the creativity of what of what we can do. And for a game like Animal Crossing, you want to have the right tools to create what you want. I mean, this is just such a huge hindrance. It's such a huge head scratcher for me. So I don't know.
It was kind of nice to reminisce and travel back in time when Nintendo did this kind of quote unquote dumb decisions more often. I was remembering the time when we had the Wii, and before they implemented a way for us to play the games straight out of the SD card, and they would call it the fridge. Oh, it's a fridge. You just take out what you need, you delete games, and then you save the games you want. No, people want a real solution. And, it was very nice of Nintendo to actually say, yeah, we're working on something. So pretty quickly, that was nice.
Yeah, that was back when, if I remember right, it was Super Meat Boy could not fit into the size requirement that the Wii required their Wii Shop games to be under.
Right, 40 megabytes.
Yeah, it was a small number, and Super Meat Boy was too big of a game, and Nintendo's like, yep, sorry. I truthfully hope that one island per Switch thing has like a really nice rainbow. Like there's something about that makes it really cool. I don't know. I don't know much about the games, but that just kind of sounds kind of odd. But I'm hoping that they know best. And in fairness, they might. To be quite honest, they might know best here. But I'm hopeful. We'll see.
Nice.
Here's the hoping.
To end that on a fun note. But we're actually going to swing back because Kevin and I have played other games as well.
That's right.
And TJ, you have as well. So we've got one more round of this. Kevin, you want to kick us off with another game you have been playing?
The affirmative, it is a visual novel type of game. It is called Coffee Talk. It is a heart-to-heart simulator where you are a barista running your own coffee shop in an alternative universe of a city like Seattle with different races. You have like humans, orcs, vampires, elves, mermaids, etc., etc. And it's like this.
Okay.
Yeah,
How does that one work?
Well, it's like how it is in the world. There's different races, there's different cultures, and we all interact in different ways, depending on our experiences growing up and all that
Well,
jazz. And
I meant specifically the mermaids. How do they get to the coffee
mermaids.
shop?
Oh, well, there's a bit of it's not the most logical thing, but they're able to, go into the coffee shop and be able to, live without the surrounding of water. So I don't know. It just happens, okay? This is like it's a fictional game, or fictional game. It's a game, and they just made it happen. I can't explain the scientific details on how that happens, but
Magic.
it's magic. Yeah, but anyway,
They need their coffee too, man.
they need their coffee. So anyway, it is like I said before, it's an interactive visual novel, and by interactive I mean, you get to serve them different kinds of drinks, whether it's gingerbread coffee or even drinks that are very prominently known in Southeast Asia, such as hope I'm pronouncing this right. Tea terik. It is a pull tea, very well known in Malaysia, and there and other types of drinks, and it's really cool. Like there's one drink from Indonesia, which I don't. It's abbreviated as STMJ. I don't know how to pronounce the words, but and I don't have the reference with me, but yeah, there are just drinks like that, and your standard drinks like green tea latte, dark chocolate, or just an espresso. And this barista that you are, you're an observer. You listen to different conversations. Whether it's with an elf and a vampire, or excuse me, yeah, elf and a vampire, or even a werewolf that you meet later on. And there's all different kinds of characters. What's really cool is that you're just there. You're making these drinks, and depending on what drinks you make, it will result in different kinds of dialogues. I try to make the right drinks for them because usually they give the hints like, "Hey, I want blah blah blah," or they'll give you 2 ingredients and you have to like figure out the third one. In this case, the werewolf, and so on different so it goes by day, and depending on who's in the shop and what they want and what you have in the the inventory, you get to make your drinks and you serve the drinks. Oh, and it's really cool. I know it's kind of a kind of a glitter sort of thing. You get to do some latte art. When you make some lattes, you go
Nice.
to the screen. It's interactive, and you get to say if it's like a cafe latte. You can like rotate the screen a bit, and then you just draw the art. And for me, I'm very proud of it. I did two things that I thought were awesome. I did this elephant that I did with the swirly stuff, and then this dancing robot. I don't know why I like this so much, but it just looks so cool. I'm like, whoa, okay. Even though it's just like stylish glitter on something, but it's nice. And actually, some of the customers that you meet in the shop, they want the latte arts, and I'm pretty sure they give the same response no matter what you draw. But it's still nice. And what I really like about this game is that you get to hear about the customer's problems, and like whether they're going through a relationship situation, or they're trying to find a way through trying to get through life, questioning their career, and just things like that, things of the nature, things that we ourselves face on a daily basis, and everybody's got their own problems they got to deal with, and sometimes having a cup of coffee is the way to communicate that in the real. And and I make it sound bigger than it is, but like The only interaction you have is just making the drinks and serving them and.
So
just-
I gotta
yeah.
ask you a question. Have you played the game Valhalla, the cyberpunk bartender thing?
I have not played that. I've heard
This
about
sounds
it.
so similar to that.
Is it really? Oh, dang.
Yeah, making drinks, hearing people's stories, and getting kind of a overarching lore and setting and such. It sounds really similar, and I can't shake that.
Yeah, maybe they just borrowed a bunch of ideas from them, but I don't know. Like, I definitely should play that. Is it on the Switch? Or
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
I'll
at
do
least
it
look
next time.
into it and let me know, because I like as a casual outsider observer, it really it's a similar concept. And from what I remember reading on both games, like it's actually a pretty powerful concept because you get to when the story is not as overt, sometimes it's more impactful, and sometimes like as this third person that you're kind of hearing bits and pieces of it, you start feeling kind of connected to that character, which is neat.
Yeah, and I'm really glad you mentioned that, Daryl, because especially in my life, what I'm trying to get better at in my own personal growth as a person is being more of an observer. So less talking, more listening. And I just felt like I identified with that in this game called Coffee Talk. And it's kind of like what Shai was mentioning about being an observer as these two doctors and to the moon, seeing what's going on. I have that same sentiment with Coffee Talk. And so it even though there's not that much action, it is an interactive visual novel. But at the same time, it's like a really relaxing time. And oh my gosh. Shout out to Sergio, man, because you sent me some music on FLAC files. I love that because I love the music so much because it's very jazzy. It's lo-fi. It's like you listen to it. You're in a coffee shop. You feel great, and you just want to share stuff. And then sometimes you'll get mad about something that happened earlier in the day, but you're still in the moment to do it. So I mean, it really just meshes well together with the environment, with just the way they made the game, and I just had a great time. It's a few hours to finish the main story. I mean, yeah, 4 to 5 hours, and then there's like some post game, which I'm just excited because there's some stuff I need to find out. I don't want to spoil it, but man, it's dope. And yeah, for anyone who wants a relaxing game that they can identify with everyday problems that you encounter, whether it's with your friends, family, or yourself, this is a game that I recommend. And it has that sort of like pixel art that just makes you feel right at home. And I really like the colors that they incorporate into the game. And maybe you'll get to learn about drinks that you've never heard of, and you'd be like, hey, I want that tea Turek. I wanna make it, or excuse me, find a place that has it, then you can make it if you want. And maybe it'll inspire you to make some latte art and drink some more lattes. I don't know, just things. And the publisher is hopefully I pronounced it right, Toad Productions, like Doge, but with a T. So shout out to them. And yeah, I just recommend it overall. Like, if you're looking for a relaxing game, Coffee Talk is the way to go. So.
Well,
Nice.
excellent. I can tell it's obviously had a big impact on you. I just have one question, and I don't know if you can answer it without spoiling anything.
Sure.
Is it several smaller stories, or do like these stories weave together into one big like overarching story that connects all the characters?
Ooh, it's kind of both, but it's more with the several stories individually, and then like later on in the post game. It it might wrap up together, but that's where I am right now. But yeah, more so with the several short stories in that aspect. Yeah.
Oh, very nice. It definitely feels like a game that you like wrap up in a blanket and play in the winter. Sounds nice.
Yeah, it's man. I recommend it. I think it was just a game that I really just enjoyed playing and identified, and yeah,
Yeah.
like I even had some of the people who worked in the game, they like my tweets. I know that's not a big deal, but to me it is because I really enjoy the game. So that's all I gotta say about that.
Yeah, well, I've been playing a very similar game actually, that I can talk about too.
Sweet.
You may have heard of it. I don't know if you guys have played it. It's called Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. Um, it's pretty much the same game.
Break, please. Oh, no,
Instead of drinking coffee, you drink your enemy's blood.
yeah.
Tomato.
So this is a very darkest episode for me. He's recommended this game in the past, and I can see why. So, if you have not heard of it, you probably should have heard of it. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night is a freaking Castlevania game. Like it is
Right.
a 100%, 1000% Castlevania game in the vein of the later ones like Symphony of the Night and Dawn of Sorrow, Aria of Sorrow, the DS game, no, GBA and DS game. So this is the style of game that fills in the Vania part of Metroidvania when people talk about that genre, which is a little bit different than Metroid does it. It's a little not necessarily better or worse, just very very different. But the similarities, I mean, there's a gigantic open map that is gated by abilities that you don't have, and you just pretty much explore the map lost until you find something, and then you can go find another part of the map and continue on from there. So I avoided playing this game for a long time. For a couple reasons. One, I heard it kind of ran like butt on Switch.
Right.
It did not perform well. It did not look good. And they've been patching it from time to time ever since then. But two, just honestly, and this is kind of a stupid reason, but the title and the overall theme of the game just kind of, I'm like, Bloodstain. Okay, you know, that's a little edgelord for me, you know, just a little bit. But I gotta say, playing it literally just plays like a Castlevania game, and Castlevania games are inherently fun. So, I've been having much better time than I ever expected to have with it. So it's been actually a very nice, pleasant surprise. I will say, the newest patch just came out. I forget exactly what the number is. I think it's like 114 or something like that. It apparently fixed some issues on Switch. I didn't play the earlier versions, so I have no idea. I've got nothing to reference on. But I have played a lot of this patch, and a couple things to note. So, it looks fine. I've been playing completely in handheld. It's not exactly the prettiest game I've ever played, but you can tell what's going on. It's not blurry. You can tell where the enemies are and such. It looks fine. It plays fine for the most part, except for every once in a while it has frame drops. And when I say frame drops, I mean the Switch turns into a slideshow for a second and then comes back, and you've missed a little bit. So it'll like literally pause, and there's been a couple times it paused for like about a half second. I'm like, is it frozen? And then it just starts playing again. I'm like, okay, we're back.
Man.
Doesn't happen that often. It's a little bit of a bummer when it does happen, because it definitely zaps you out of the game. I tried restarting the Switch and stuff, and I still kind of had it. Maybe a function of handheld. I don't know. The only time that actually becomes a bummer is if you're really trying not to get hit, and it happens, because sometimes it eats like a jump input and you don't actually jump, so you take a shot, and it's like, ugh. But for the most part, honestly, it's fairly unobtrusive. And about the actual game itself, so if you played the game on Game Boy Advance, Aria of Sorrow, or DS, Dawn of Sorrow, these are both actual Castlevania games. That is very much a good starting point of, you know, what to expect from this game. It plays exactly the same in that
Nice.
you're moving around a big castle of sorts. You're coming across hundreds and hundreds of monsters. In this case, they're demons. And I think in Castlevania, they literally are monsters. Specifically like old horror movie monsters and such. But
Right.
in this one, they're a little bit more generic, like, and they're called demons. But it's pretty much the same thing. In those games, in the Castlevania games, you get monsters' souls, quote unquote. that give you more abilities to move forward. In this one, you get their shards because you are a shard binder. It's the exact same mechanic. You get the powers from the enemies. It helps you. In some cases, it's a mobility thing that'll actually let you get to new areas and such. And that's how it gets the game. And I gotta say, it's huge. The map keeps opening up and keeps opening up and keeps opening up. And it's very, very big. Much bigger than you expect, even as you're progressing through the game. For example, I got to the quote final boss with 45% of the map completed.
Oh, wow.
Dang,
And
that's quite-
it was one of those classic Castlevania things where you kill the boss and then it gives you a game over screen because that's not the way you're supposed to do it. The two main characters afterwards are standing around talking and they're like, well, I guess that was the right thing to do, and this is game over. And it's like, okay. All right, game, I get you. But yeah, things to kind of wrap up on. If you go into this expecting very, very much a Castlevania game, that's the right way. And the reason for that is the director of the game is Koji Igarashi, who worked at Konami making those Castlevania games. So he did a Kickstarter for this game to basically get back into that style. And if you really are aching for a new Castlevania game and you can deal with some performance issues and maybe not the prettiest game in the world, this is a good one. It's got a variety of weapons, including great swords and staves and spears and guns and such. It kind of feels like there's always like a best weapon, but that's okay because they're pretty fun to play, and the monsters are pretty fun. There's nothing all that like early on. I was thinking, oh man, this is gonna get like kind of like disturbing in the monsters and such, and really there's not. Like after like honestly like the first boss you come across is probably the worst of them, and then after that it's just kind of like, oh okay, they're just monsters. It's you kind of get what you expect on it, and overall I've enjoyed it a lot. So yeah, I would recommend this game to anyone looking for a Castlevania game who can deal with a few stutters here and there.
Would you say that the way they paced it, they did it very well? Like in terms of difficulty, was there a difficulty spike in certain areas, or like how would you feel about that?
The only thing negative I'll say there is that sometimes the save points are not spaced really well from what I'm playing. Like I've got to backtrack more than I want to get to a save point, or I'm like reaching out into the world trying to find a save like on my dying breath, and it's just not there and not there and not there and not there.
Yeah.
It feels like the spacing of them feels a little wonky to me, and I can't really explain why. But just like if you play a Metroid game, you kind of get into this rhythm where you know where a save's gonna be. Hollow Knight, you got into this rhythm where you knew where the bench was gonna be, right? This one, kind of. But yeah, so but otherwise the pacing's fine. The difficulty spike is fine. You level up as you go, so there's RPG elements and you get better weapons and such. But it is just a Metroidvania action game, mostly with melee combat. So yeah,
Good stuff.
Cool. And for anyone looking for a new Castlevania, yeah, good luck with that. You're gonna have to look at this one. Maybe this is the one that's gonna be getting sequels. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I could see this being a series. It already had that 8-bit game that was developed by Inti Creates, Curse of the Moon, which I may pick up, actually. So, yeah.
I actually played half of it. It's pretty good so far, and yeah, it just gives me those vibes, especially from Castlevania 3. I mean, I highly recommend it. I think it was like $10 too, so it's a good buy.
Nice. Yeah, that's pretty much all I want to say, but I have really enjoyed that game. I'm not quite done with it. I am at the final bosses, the actual final bosses now, so I don't expect anything that I just said to change based on that, so I've had a good time.
Good stuff.
We can segue again by another similar game.
Ooh,
nice.
I've been playing the Touryst by Shinin Multimedia.
Perfect.
It's basically a
Awesome.
Bloodstained clone. I'm basically the same game, so I don't have much to say.
Oh, okay.
No, it's a casual 3D puzzler. I've got two very casual games on this episode because I tend to like play a high intensity game and then I play a nice chill game, and those are the two I've talked about. It's kind of got a lot of fanfare when it first came out for its little cute 3D voxely graphics and with that tilt shift similar to Link's Awakening.
Yeah.
It's a really fun game. I'm actually a little more into it just because it's a technical marvel. It stays locked at 60 frames.
Oh,
It
nice.
has almost no load time. And the game itself is under 300 megabytes. So like that part kind of blows my mind. It is a lot of fun. It is unfortunately a little dense in a few spots. You're just walking around trying to figure out what to do. But overall, I had a lot of fun with it. It was just a nice, relaxing game. My daughter would watch me play and kind of tell me, try over there, look over there. And it's just a lot of exploration and simple puzzles. There's a little bit of platforming. There's a boss or two, but it's not, you're just throwing some blocks around or something. It's nothing too tough. It's got a lot of cheeky humor. And, you know, you're this big block guy. You get the ability to run eventually, and here you are slamming through walls looking for treasures and things. And overall, I really liked it. Some of the platforming sections were frustrating. You know, it's 3D, and you're like, am I actually lined up to hit that platform? And you jump, and oh, no, I'm not. But I had a lot of fun with it. I mean, for $20, I would recommend researching the game before you buy, and if it seems like it's for you, $20 is a fair price. Otherwise, you know, 10 or 15, I would recommend it wholeheartedly. It's another 5-6 hour game. It is kind of fun to go. There's 7 different islands you can travel and do different quests, and sometimes you complete something on one island that lets you have an item you need to go back to another island. Overall, they're mostly self-contained, though. But again, it's just a nice casual game that's pretty easy to recommend if that's what you're looking for. This is one of those games that's kind of hard to spoil unless you get onto the actual quests themselves. And speaking of that, the one side quest I didn't really like was the one that was most heavily advertised, where you get to play those little mini games in the arcade.
Right.
Oh.
Because I hope I'm saying that right. Shin'en Multimedia also made Fast RMX.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's this little 8-bit version of it, but it was so frustrating. You're just trying to beat this guy's high scores. And there's 3 games you play, and I hated 2 of them. I said out loud more than once, I said, why is this fun? My wife's like, what? If you're going to be a grouch, why are you playing this game? And I was like, I don't know. But I was just too stubborn. And then I beat it, and the reward for beating it is just like something you didn't need. And I was like,
Perfect.
yeah. But so
Excellent.
that part was a little disappointing. I mean, the game as a whole still a great game that I'd recommend, but that part was a little bit of a letdown because that's what you keep seeing in the trailers and the ads. And I was like, all right. And I got there, and then I was just like, this
F-Zero is back.
Oh no! That truer words have never been. No, I don't know. I am not even gonna complete that sentence. Man, that's disappointing,
cool.
though.
That was a game that when it first got kind of revealed, I was like all in on it, and I still don't have it.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
The trailer, I don't know. The initial trailer, I got a different vibe than what the game really is, but it's neat too. Like, it's got nice water effects, and it's got the lighting effects and the wind and everything, and it is neat. I don't think the music's too memorable, but it's just this fun little cheeky sandbox game that you know, if you're looking to relax, is worth playing.
Would you say that the water reminds you of the pond from Breath of the Wild? Like, in terms of the excitement that you got from it. I mean, what do you think about that?
I mean, how dare you compare anything to the pond? Nothing shall rival that experience, and we shall not speak of it again.
Well, there we go.
Until next week.
Until it comes back up naturally. There we go.
Die.
All right. Well, that's cool. And then I think, Sergio, did you have anything else? Pretty much just still seething in Animal Crossing, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, cool. I did want to get to one other quick discussion. We don't have to get too far into it, but another little piece of news. So this week I backed my first Kickstarter project ever.
Nice.
I mean, Kickstarter is a platform that's been around. I've known it's been around, and I've seen some games come through it. Hey, Shovel Knight, that looked really cool, and I was supportive of, but I never backed them. So, this week I backed the Wonderful 101, which got put onto a Kickstarter, to basically make this game available again. So, as I understand it, the story is The Wonderful 101 was a Wii U game fairly early on when literally no one had a Wii U, except for me. I'm not crying, you're crying. So it flopped. It flopped hard. Like, it did not sell at all, to the point that I think for Switch, everybody was kind of asking for a port of this one, as we're talking about Switch ports of Wii U games. This game kept coming back up, but I feel like nobody was really interested in publishing it because it had failed so hard. So to get around this, Platinum Games decided to put a Kickstarter out there, to port this game that, again, did not sell well, and they've already made like over $1 million on it. So the world is crazy and makes no sense. I have no idea. To make things a little bit more complicated, a little more crazy, I played this game on Wii U. Played the first 2 stages, got kind of tired of it, and sold it. So why am I Kickstarter backing this?
Dang.
It's multifold. There's a bunch of reasons. But first of all, you guys, what is your involvement with Wonderful 101? Did you play the original? Are you interested in this Kickstarter? What do you think?
Oh, I'm on the Kickstarter. I have no idea what this game is. I've never played it, but I saw Dragon hype it so much, and then I saw you backed it, and then you DM'd me, if you're going to be on the show, you got to keep up with games. Go back it right now. And I backed it at the highest level of $1,500. Okay.
Nice.
Whoa,
No,
that's,
not
that's
really.
a true fan.
I teach,
Okay.
but I did back it at the digital level just out of sheer curiosity. I also have never backed anything on Kickstarter before, but I'm just gonna leap with my eyes closed and.
Yeah, so why did we pick this one as our first one? I'm really confused. But
Oh man.
I have some reasons I'll get back to it. But Kevin, Sergio, you played this before?
I have not played Wonderful 101. I've heard of it, but I just never heard about it until y'all talked about it. Although I am a Kickstarter backer of a multiplicative. I just want to use that word, but it doesn't make sense. I have backed multiple things on Kickstarter. Some things that I still love having. Secret Hitler, which is a social deduction game, very, very good.
Wait, what?
It's a really good game, and if you like Mafia, Resistance, Bang, which is like a spaghetti western mafia type of game, you're gonna love Secret Hitler, and it's all animals. It's lovely. It's great. I recommend it. Exploding Kittens, I also backed on Kickstarter. It was the most backed card game of the time. I hope it still is. And there's Super Hot, the unique first-person shooter where time moves when you move. And Shiness, an RPG that is like a manga and fantasy at the same time. It's pretty cute. Yeah. And then there is Genki, the covert dock for Nintendo Switch.
Nice.
The third-party dock that will not brick a Switch, guaranteed so far.
Guaranteed by them, not us.
Guaranteed by them, not us, yeah. So
we take no liability on that one.
Yes.
Send all warranty claims to Kevin.
Jokes. But yes, I am very familiar with the Kickstarter world. I am very meticulous about what I back. But yes, that is great that you backed the Wonderful 101. I am intrigued by it a bit more. Sergio, what about you?
No, I haven't heard about this game, but I have heard of people that have heard of it. So
Wait, what?
There you go.
no. Just kidding. I played the demo back on the Wii U, but it wasn't the Wii U, so I noped right out of that.
Aw, man.
No, not a big fan. I mean, no, it played okay, but I probably was playing something else. But I am very interested. Depends on the timing. Again, Animal Crossing is coming out pretty soon. So I am very interested. You Shy, I saw Dragon call it the E word. He said it was epic. So that's high
Ooh,
praise.
the E word.
By the way, it's slated to come out in April.
Yeah,
if
Sergio,
thank
you're
you.
not playing this.
So that's a hard pass for
Wait.
Serge.
Yeah, you're not.
This year?
Yes.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's really
That's
soon.
I mean,
quick.
the game is ready. Is what I'm getting at. Like, they've been working on this game. It's ready to go. They literally needed to port it places. So I think the Switch, the first goal was the Switch port, which I think was at like $50,000 or something like that. A really low number.
They met it almost instantly.
Oh yeah, it met it
Right.
before I even saw the Kickstarter, and that was not. It was like an
Yeah.
hour after it started. But so a couple things on this game. First of all, one, I really have no idea why this blew up so much. Because again, nobody was interested in this game at all, and it wasn't just a function of it being on the Wii U, because nobody who had a Wii U was interested in this game at all. So it's just like, whatever. Platinum has clout. So they put out a Kickstarter, and people want to back Platinum, and they want to back a Platinum game on multi-plat. Going to PS4 and Steam and such. Okay, that's fair. But I will say, so what I said before, I wasn't really being harsh on the game. I just it was hitting me at a wrong time. What I'll say about this game is, if you remember back to like the superhero shows and such from when you were 8 years old, that is this game. Like, that is very much what this game is trying to be. To even the point of, like, there's Dragon explained it pretty well. The first stage has like a boss that literally acts like a final boss of a game. Like, it's really big and bright and really, it is epic. It is, and in the background, the theme song is like a chorus of guys singing
Oh my
about
God.
the wonderful 101. Yeah, it's the funniest thing ever. It really is. I didn't think it played all that well on Wii U, which was ultimately what killed it for me. There was some weird control issues that I'm really hoping that they knock out. The thought of just going to a standard controller will probably help this game, actually.
Right.
But yeah, so I backed it because inherently I like this game, despite prior experience with it. I like the Wonderful 101. I really like the style and what they're going for. It's a lot of fun, and I think it's funny, and I'm going to have a good time with it. But also, this is a Kickstarter about a company wanting to port a Wii U game to Switch, and that just struck me as, okay, done. Yeah, like, I backed it for the physical level, which is like, a little over $50. And I was like, yeah, sweet, done. I'm in. So yeah, it's kind of odd.
I was just having a really bad day and saw this hype train and said, forget it, I'm going to throw some money at this game and hope it's good. Plus, the DLC is included if you backed it now, so I didn't want it to come out in April. Then I liked it, and then I'm buying the DLC separately because as of time of recording, they're only $74,000 short of a next stretch goal, which is going to add a 2D side-scrolling campaign to the game on top of the main campaign. And I like big, dumb, goofy games, so this sounds like my kind of game with the superheroes and the Flash and all that stuff. So
this definitely has the Platinum thing of like, the actual combat is like really deep the more you get into it, and you get graded on it and such, which kind of always grates me a little bit. Because I'm like, man, I did pretty well, why'd you give me a C? Like, and then the next battle I'm like, man, I didn't do very well, and they give me an S. I'm like, what? But anyways, it does have the Platinum combat of like, there's a lot of stuff going on. It's big and flashy, and you can learn and get a lot deeper into the combat and such. That either hits you pretty well or it doesn't. But the overall style of the game, you're going to love it. I really think you will.
Well, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm with you, though. I hope they get rid of they almost have to get rid of the mandatory drawing and touchscreen controls because it's going to come out on other systems.
Well, they actually got rid of that on Wii U.
So that's good.
But it was very shoehorned in. So they were like, oh, you don't want to draw? Okay, use the right stick instead. So it just still kind of felt weird.
Oh, okay.
And I'm hoping that they hammer that out a little bit. We'll see. I'm just looking forward to actually trying to play this game again. Because it was kind of just at a weird time on Wii U. Believe it or not, I was playing other things on that console at the time. I'm as shocked as you are. So now that it's, on Switch, which doesn't have as many games, I'll have a better shot at it. So
Oh yeah.
Now, I didn't even read the description. I just clicked the back button. Does this game have multiplayer?
yes.
Okay.
Yes, it does.
Whoa.
Local
Well, that's going to be
multiplayer.
fun with with my daughter. That'll be a lot of fun too.
Oh,
Then.
Wow.
If she gets into any over the top, colorful superhero stuff, she'll love it. Love it.
Yeah, that's right up her alley.
Yeah.
This is so amazing. Like, there's 28 days to go, and they've already raised that much money. Like, that is
Yeah.
insane. Like, how? I don't.
I don't know how they did
No.
it.
Yeah.
I really
this is-
don't.
like, especially if it's a game that people have already. Well, some people have played before. Like, this is unprecedented. Like, I might want to back this now. I mean, this is.
One of the backing options for $101, you can get blocked by Camilla. So I think that's very enticing. Blocked on Twitter.
Wow.
It is pretty enticing.
Well, I mean, the average. I mean, I did crude numbers. The average backer is at like $64 a person.
Yeah, that is very. Wow. This is like.
So
it's a following right here. I mean,
just to kind of illustrate, the Nintendo shipped 30,000 copies for the game's launch in Japan. The game sold 5,258 copies in its first week.
Wow,
That's
wow.
bad.
that's unheard
That's-
of. Yeah, that's
yeah,
awful.
I don't even.
Bad. And this game is making millions of dollars now. I don't know how. It's crazy. It's
Yeah.
really funny.
People love that nostalgia hype train. Look back with rose-colored glasses, or you get these cult classics that now with social media people really build up, and then people just go with it. I mean, I did.
And it helps that the video was funny too.
Yeah.
So
I
they're
mean,
really playing into it. So
Every bit helps. I mean,
anyways, I'm hyped for it. I think TJ, you took what I was saying about it as I loved it initially, and that's kind of my full story. I didn't really love it, but I wanted to, and so that's kind of where I was.
Yeah, I saw that, but I'd already made my decision, so it's all
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
And if I hate it, I'll just blame you.
there you go.
fair enough.
For some reason, there's a Captain Falcon type of vibe just by looking at
Yeah.
the image.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the mask and like just.
This is also the same company that did Beautiful Joe, which it's really,
Yes.
really Beautiful Joe. Yeah,
Oh man, that.
but
No.
with a hundred of the little guys that you are controlling, like all of them at once. It's crazy. It's
Yeah.
looking at it looks just like insanity. It's and like I said, there's like this really epic Saturday morning cartoon music going on in the background with choirs and stuff. It's great. It's great.
Man, this is pretty cool. I gotta admit. And what 1080p, 60 frames per second on the Switch? I mean,
And now you have to back it.
oh my gosh, like. Where's my wallet? Make it sad now. Like, what is going on?
All right. Well, glad I convinced you guys. I think, unless you guys have any other Kickstarter stories, I don't, because this is my first. So there you go.
Yeah, I don't have a Kickstarter story, but I just do want to give a shout out. I was gonna do it earlier, but shout out to Darkus. Obviously, he's been, a really good contributor for our Discord and suggesting games like, doing Destiny, and even though I may not have liked it as much as I wanted to, I thought it was good to try it out anyway. So thank you, Darkus,
Yeah, definitely.
for that. Really appreciate it. And yeah, I mean, man, I am looking forward to finishing Coffee Talk in the post game. I did forget one thing. There is an alien that you meet who wears an astronaut suit. That's all I'm gonna say. Please play the game.
Okay.
It's pretty cool. So, okay, that's all I got.
All right. TJ, sir, do you have anything else before we get into our question?
I do
No.
not.
All right. Sergio, hit us.
So, our question last week was, which single feature you would want the most out of a potential Switch Pro? Potential, yeah, right. So, what do people want the most? Napping Rat from our Discord said a lot of things, but I think his most requested feature is better Wi-Fi, which I definitely agree with. Dragon said Joy-Cons that don't drift. which is a good one. Ferrero's Dragon said, "I'll be happy if the Switch Pro has Twilight Princess or Disney Plus on it." Interesting. And that's what we have. What about you guys?
For me, I just want one thing. I just want to be able to play 1080p, at least 60 frames per second in handheld. I think that is hopefully the standard that they will set. I don't know if I'm asking for a lot, but that's what I want. And if possible, 120 frames per second. But that's
wow.
Yeah.
But can you tell at that point?
That is not happening, man.
Honestly, there are bits of it that you can if you look close enough. Like if you compare like a 60 FPS to 100, 20 FPS.
But what if I'm not playing Call of Duty?
Then you're not doing it right, man.
I mean, you're going to tank the battery life at 120.
Okay.
No,
that's a diminishing return.
I think 1080 is a decent goal. I think anything more than 60 frames per second, that is not happening. No chance.
There are some technical things behind, like when you are viewing like things that are moving really fast, especially if ghosts are moving fast. Call of Duty Ghosts, not unrelated, but no, but there are different technical differences. But yeah, like it is hardly noticeable. But 1080p, 60 FPS. That's it.
All right.
Nice.
I would keep the, I don't know what you call it, the tablet, the actual system, the same size. I'd like a decreased bezel and give me more screen real estate and make it OLED.
Ooh,
yes.
Yeah, there we go.
I mean, I could see it. I've been actually trying to think of what they would actually do with a new Switch, as it were. And the only thing I keep coming back to, so I'm gonna give a quick shout out to the Switch Island. They had a conversation about a potential Switch Pro, and came up with this idea that so far there is a 64 gigabyte card for Switch that has not been released yet. So the thought was maybe you hold that for Switch Pro with the capacity that maybe games. So ideally, games are going to launch for Switch and Switch Pro. They're going to be playable on both, right? The thought would be that you basically have a better texture pack on that card that only the Pro can access. So all of a sudden you play on Pro the same game, but it looks better, it runs better,
Right.
things like that. That actually feels like a kind of reasonable thing for me. I could definitely see that happening. As far as the actual design of the system, honestly, I think the system is pretty good. I think they have some durability issues in the Joy-Cons. So a redesign there is a good idea, but the rest of the system, not bad. Everything else I would ask for is on the software side, such as the ability to put things in folders so they stop clogging up my... I know! It's insane.
Right.
But yeah, the ability to put things in folders, and I mean, would it kill you to put a game invite system on the system itself? So that these friends that add me from Quick Play on Smash don't just like sit in my friend list and never have any interaction ever. So
yeah, that's actually a good point. I mean, and especially, I just wish there's a way to message people in the Switch, like on, I don't know, PlayStation or Xbox. Like, come on, like give it the time, give it the program, Nintendo.
Yeah, but you don't need a Pro for that. I don't know.
No, you don't. You don't.
It would be as simple. You don't have to. I don't think you need to install messaging on it. I don't think because then you open up to things that Nintendo's not all that comfortable with, like, us talking to 12-year-olds, and things like that.
You don't have to talk to 12-year-olds, but yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah. All I would really ask for is if I'm playing a game, like I open an arena in Smash, I would love to be able to hit a button that shows up a little green dot on my friend's Switch. And it says, "Hey, Daryl's got an arena open. Join up." That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I want. Seriously. And make that like multiple games. So, hey, Daryl's playing Mario Kart. Join him? Yes. Absolutely. Let's do it.
If I ever do decide to play Call of Duty again, and if they do ever release another Call of Duty, I would like the same option.
I dare say they'll release another one.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll see. I'm currently retired in the Call of Duty world. I did play Call of Duty Mobile for a little bit. It was a very short 2 hours, but that was it. I'm like,
What?
I'm retired. Yeah, because no, it was okay. Because like I play it and I'm like, this is fun, and I had a decent score. It was pretty good. And then
This is
I
very
just-
quickly descending into depression for me.
I regret mentioning Call of Duty.
no. All jokes aside, I don't think I would ever play Call of Duty on the Switch.
But if you had
It was
120
fun.
frames per second Switch Pro,
Oh, there we go.
but
Yeah,
I mean, to get us back to the question, you should join our Discord server, which you can find a link for on our Twitter at NintendoJump.
God, he's a pro.
Because in the response, I know Sergio mentioned it, Napping Rat listed a ton of features that are all realistic, like having Ethernet built into the dock, right?
Yes.
Little things like that. I love the
That's
Switch's
crazy.
form factor. I know. I love the Switch's form factor. I mean, I've had it 2.5 years. I still marvel at it. Clicking the Joy-Cons on and off is still magical, but at the same time, they failed on the execution of so many details on the hardware.
Yep.
So there's a lot. I mean, the question said one option, so I gave one, but I recommend looking at Napping Rat's response there, because I pretty much want everything he said. But
Yes.
you got to join our Discord to see it.
Yeah, when it comes to tech talk, Nap Rat is the guy. He's always talking about the latest tech, and even on MacBooks and, stuff that I was interested in, because I was going to get a MacBook Air, but he convinced me to wait. So I listened to Nap Rat for that one. So shout out to him. I'm going to wait
Nice.
for the, I'm interested in the new MacBooks that are coming out later this year, even though they
Welcome
might be,
to the MacBook Jump Podcast.
Okay. But
Sergio,
yeah.
we have anything else on this
You
question?
can save us now.
No, well, just my request, which is honestly, it's funny because mine wouldn't be advertised. I want better. Here's a cool word: wirelessness from the Switch.
Yes.
Basically, I want it to be more stable in local connections because I think it's
Yeah, that's a
kind of
good point.
disappointing when
Absolutely.
you're playing like Smash or Mario Kart locally and there's either dropouts or lag. That really shouldn't happen.
Oh, I
Yeah,
agree. I mean, I'll play students at school in class breaks, and we are 3 feet from each other, and it lags worse than when I have an internet connection.
Exactly.
Or like the
There-
Joy-Cons.
There
I
is
don't,
something weird about that.
Or like even the Joy-Cons. I don't live in a very big house. I can't sit on my couch and use my Joy-Cons detached. The connection's so weak. Multiple pairs. It's awful. Like, yeah, how? It's 2020. Wireless technology isn't brand new. Just use standard Bluetooth and use a regular USB-C. Get with the times, Nintendo.
That's
Right.
the message. You know what? Give as what Shy Guy would say. Man, I love it when you said that. You know what? Come on, Nintendo. It's
Well,
2020.
To be fair on the Joy-Con, I like the system-to-system thing, completely true. To be fair on the Joy-Con thing, they were trying really hard to fit a lot of stuff into that form factor. And I think they took some allowances they shouldn't have with that. There's a lot of
Right.
strange designs there that
Well,
hopefully they could iterate on.
for $80 a pair, I'm going to have high expectations.
I agree.
True.
They're my handheld players anyway. Like I don't use Joy-Cons separate anymore, which is a nice thing. All right, Sergio, you want to hit us with a brand new question?
Yes, I like this one. This is fun. Question for this week. If you could only buy one game for any system for the rest of the year 2020, what would you get?
Oh
Easy one
God,
for
you're gonna
me.
make me piss you off, aren't you?
It's not Call of Duty.
I
It's
won't
just-
spoil my answer, but it ain't gonna be Animal Crossing, man.
No,
I'm sorry.
That's fine. That's
man.
fine.
And it's not Pokemon Sword or Shield or whatever. Like that's not gonna happen.
All right, I'll think on it, but
All right.
cool.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you for listening, everyone. We're going to jump out of here. But you can keep the discussion going by chatting with us on our Discord group. The description for this episode has a link to our Discord if you would like to join. We are also on Twitter and on Instagram as Nintendo Jump, and we also have a Facebook group. Please send us any feedback you have at NintendoJumpPodcast@gmail.com. The best way to support the show is through our Patreon page, which is patreon.com/NintendoJump, or by leaving a review for the show in your favorite podcast application. We would really appreciate it. This is Sergio, and on behalf of Daryl, Kevin, and Shai, thanks for listening. We hope you have a great week. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Boo. Boo boo boo. Boo boo boo. Boo boo boo. Boo boo. That's Hot on Cold by Andrew Jeremy, who created the soundtrack for
Oh,
Coffee
God.
Clock. Don't.
God.
Yes, I know. I love it. I listen to it. I listen to these tracks like almost every day now. Shout out to y'all. Sponsor us. Just kidding.
No.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Shout out to Coffee Talk. Coffee Talk. Bye, everybody.